Okay, so let me tell you guys what happened. I got back late from landscaping, and then setting everything up was a nightmare. I should have tested everything last night, but here we go. Let's get to some of your questions, shall we? All right. So I had some Patreon questions, and I'm gonna try to cover everyone's question. And whatever I don't get this time, I'll definitely come around and do it again. All right. So let's start with. Let's see here. I have these on my phone here. Okay, Olaf. Let me just pause. Okay. This is a question from Olaf, and I'm going to read the whole question. I already asked him if I can read it, and he said it's fine. So, here we go. Oleg, hi. Here's a question for you. You can text or consider in your video today. If normal ability to skate for 2+ hours drops to 45 or 60-minute sessions 4 days a week and 30-minute sessions 2 days a week for a month or two, how should I adjust programming of practice sessions? Here's what I did with these last 2 months, and would love advice of what I might have done better. Note that all of this is in 40 minutes. Each element only gets done once, and not even close to 5 times. Here's what I did. A. Ankle bends. Bends off ice before getting on B. Quick inside edges. Swizzles to warm up C. Ankle bends at wall and skates on ice to loosen ankle/knees. D. Backwards, odd back and forth skiers to practice laying ankles over over. E. Figure 8 blade flips, forward, outside to inside at the center. So he's talking about the wicket edge exercise. That's wicket. To warm up for outside edge laps. F. Forward and backward outside edge laps down the boards. G. Half rink front and back crossover circles. H. Power poles, one length each front and back, left and right. I. Fast but on circle stroking to practice arms both way and toward circle fronts and back, just once or twice around each circle. J. Russian stroking forward and back. K. Mohawk practice at the boards, one length each direction. L. Inside forward 3 turns. So this goes on for another quite a bit. Anyway, very thorough. Thank you, Olaf. Getting back to your question, though. So you have all these exercises, and your time suddenly shrinks. So what do you do in such an instance? All right, well, you have to prioritize. Essentially, what you want to think about is you have your warm-up that you do off ice. You got to do that before getting on the ice. Sometimes skaters just jump on the ice, and then they just use that as a warm-up. Well, it's not such a great idea, because if you don't properly warm up your body, you can get hurt. And also, if you're jumping right into a lesson without having warmed up anything, and if you haven't skated that day, for instance, then it's just, you're going to spend half your lesson just warming up without making much progress at that point. All right, so in this instance, what should you do? What would I recommend that you do? So you have limited amount of time, but what I need to know is your goal in this instance. Now, later on, I texted with Olaf and I talked to him, but what often happens is skaters have nebulous goals where it's like, okay, so I want my skating skills to improve. I want to have better 3 turns, better mohawks, better crossovers, and so forth. But these kind of goals, they're quite nebulous, because I mean, I want better crossovers and better mohawks and so forth. I mean, it's one of those things that can always be made better. You can always make them stronger. And in this case, what I suggested to him is that you want to select actionable goals, clear and actionable goals that you can pursue, and then that are going to have a finite amount of time that you can pursue them in. So what I suggested is consider looking at trying to focus on getting a sequence, or what I suggest specifically is, what about doing moves in the field? I mean, you don't have to test them, but they're a great thing to focus on, and if you can test them, then that's one of those things. It lets you kind of focus your energy, and that way you're going to get feedback, because it's very easy to get frustrated just putting in all this time, effort, and energy, and then you're not quite sure where you stand, how much you're progressing, because as you get better, it's hard to tell how much you progress from day to day. Anyway, so if you have a bunch of things that you work on and your time suddenly shrinks, focus on making sure warming up properly off ice, and then afterwards you want to make sure and go over the really important things like warm up on ice, in this case, stroking, edges, crossovers. if you have time to do some turns. And then you want to go through the thing that you're trying to pursue, your goal. So for instance, if you're doing competition, you want to do sections of your program or elements of your program. If you're working on a test, you want to run those moves tests and so forth. You want to kind of know what you're focusing on. And the other stuff, it's important too, but at the same time, just make sure, do your stroking, do your edges, do your crossovers. In crossovers, you go both directions, forwards and backwards. Stroking, perimeter stroking, edges, forward insides, forward outsides, backward insides, backward outsides. You can do 2 laps, first lap, forward inside down the ice, second side coming back doing forward outsides, and then do backwards. And that's just a quick warm-up you can do. I mean, there's other ways. This is for a somewhat advanced skater. For a lower level skater, you can do them edges on the line, for instance, or edges on circles, just holding it and gliding on one foot. But that's kind of the idea. All right, so let's look at another question.